viewers, you're welcome to today's edition of Prime R on my Media Prime. This day we are going to be looking at the Anglophone crisis with the contributions of political parties. What have they been doing? Do they have what it takes to turn tables? Yesterday we were looking at the community of the Southwest and Northwest regions. We also are going to be looking at the outing of some members of the House of Congress, House of Commons, Canadian House of Commons, with respect to the ongoing crisis, and also looking at what should be changed as far as the electoral code of Cameroon is concerned. As requested by many political parties, we know that the Social Democratic Front has been on this for a very long time, and recently this year a movement of Professor Maurice Kamto and a host of other political parties. What do we need to be changed in our electoral code? We're discussing this with panelists who already are in the house. Our consultant is going to be a permanent consultant because Apostle and Valentine Bois will no longer present him as an opinion leader. I will henceforth be presenting him as a consultant with the house on my Media Prime. Good evening and welcome, Apostle Abi.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, my co-panelists. Good evening, Cameroonians. It's a joy to be here again to dissect very important information to educate Cameroonians on very pertinent issues, especially the Anglophone crisis that has robbed the Northwest and the Southwest for the past 4 years, as well as affecting the economy, socio and political stability of our nation, Cameroon. Thank you and good evening to all.
Dr. Simo Maxeli, representing the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, the CPDM party. She is here with us. Bonsoir et bienvenue.
Not Marceline, Marcel, everyday. Bonsoir à tout le monde, bonsoir à vos milliers de téléspectateurs, bonsoir aux copanélistes, bonsoir à tout le Cameroun, on va dire ça comme ça. C'est un plaisir d'être là, de répondre présent et de représenter mon parti dans des thématiques aussi importantes. Donc c'est un plaisir d'être chez vous, dans votre maison, dans notre maison.
Ça fait un peu bail, ça fait un peu longtemps. Hein. Vous avez voyagé?
Non, pas voyagé, mais malheureusement les obligations m'appellent ailleurs. Donc quand je ne suis pas ici, rassurez-vous, je suis de l'autre côté. Donc je suis toujours au travail, on va dire ça comme ça.
Okay, also with us is Prince Joel Mokage. He's a journalist. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening to you, Mr. Leo. Good evening to Apostle Ambe. Good evening to co-panelists. Good evening to everybody who is watching my Media Prime and Prime particularly. It's true that just like Dr. Simo, it's been a while that I've not been on the platform because of other reasons, because one or other things that we're doing, but we are back on the field. And since we chose a microphone as a way of educating Cameroonians, it's a privilege being there. Special good evening to the peace-loving people of Messages Subdivision.
You did not greet the front today?
His Royal Highness von Thomas Kimbuse has his greetings, and His Excellency Dr. Fokaleso's Gentry, the illustrious son of the Messages Subdivision, has his greetings too.
Honorable General Ngala now. Okay,
Dr. Massimo will greet the Honorable Ngala General.
Okay, good evening to you, Abdurrahman Pofura, representing the CPRN movement, PCRN of Cabral Libye. Bonsoir et bienvenue.
Alors, good evening to everyone. Bonsoir à tout le monde, à vos nombreux millions de téléspectateurs. Et permettez-moi de dire un bonsoir particulier aux populations du Union Ekele et leur inviter à souscrire à cette plateforme qui a été mise en place par l'honorable Bienvenu Jeep en partenariat avec l'hôpital du district des Écailles, une police d'assurance pour les populations. Ils ont la possibilité de souscrire à 15 000 francs et ils ont la possibilité d'être pris en charge à l'auteur de 500 000 francs par an. C'est une innovation particulière au Cameroun et bien entendu c'est comme ça que nous entendons gérer le Cameroun dans tous les arrondissements bien évidemment. Et un bonsoir également particulier au maire des Écailles qui a lancé aujourd'hui sa tournée de remerciements à ces populations qui l'ont élu en tant que maire. Merci.
Good evening to you, Ta Rosu, to you, Mundibeta, my brother, writing there from Germany, watching from Germany, and to you, Che Terence, and Enene Alain, and to all of you watching on social media. I'll start with you, Apostle Lambe Valentine Ngwa, when we look at political parties and the Anglophone crisis, would you say they have done enough to put pressure and efforts to wanting to see an end to this crisis?
Mr. Leo, for answer your question, I want to pass the information. I'm a political analyst, and a political analyst is like a commentator. A commentator is somebody that gives analysis on a match based on what is happening, not based on his feelings. And I'm not an activist, neither am I a political party member. So when I stand on the platform, I'm giving analysis on cases on ground in order to educate the public. Nobody should see me as if I belong on a particular team. That point should be cleared out, and every audience should understand that. I'm not here to back a particular party or a government or an activist. I am here as a political analyst to analyze situations and give people education on how to run crisis. I think that point is properly cleared. Considering the case of political parties and elected officials in Cameroon, I would say if the crisis has escalated to this level, they have not taken their responsibilities. Studying analysis from other countries and other places in the world, you will realize that members of the Senate and the Parliament have a very pivotal role in quenching down crisis in most countries. And if at all they take up the responsibility to carry out the acts needed by them, I'm sure they have the capacity to pour water on a flame. This crisis has gone to where it is today because our parliamentarians are not patriotic, number one. Number two, they are not interested in the well-being of the people they sit over their constituencies. How do I explain this? It is very certain. I said something yesterday that Franklin T. Roosevelt said that patriotism is not standing by a president, it's standing by a nation. It's important the parliamentarians who have been voted by the masses to stand by the nation rather than stand by a president. But it's rather unfortunate that most of the parliamentarians are even appointed, they are not elected. And that's the reason why they don't even have full control to exhibit or exercise their authority. A clear case is what happened in 1953. When things go wrong and in a particular parliament it is not brought up, the parliamentarians have the right to walk out of that parliament. We are not talking about raising up the Anglophone issue anymore in the parliament. Since it has been suppressed and cancelled on many occasions, they have to walk out. In 1953, our fathers walked out of the Eastern Regional House in Nigeria, and a solution came out. In the Barcelona, who walked out of Catalonia, who walked out of the Spanish parliament, a solution came in immediately. The issue is not raising up the problem again in the parliament because it has not been allowed to be raised up. The issue now is walking out. I'm sure the walking out will cause a lot of commotion, that the matter should be brought, because there are many ways to catch a rat. If you propose an idea, they refuse, then the next thing is violence. And the violence is so-called civil disobedience. It's not carrying guns. It's not carrying bombs. If they walk out of the House of Parliament and refuse to attend sessions and refuse to submit to the norms of the Parliament, I'm sure that's civil disobedience that can call the Parliament to order to see that they address this case, because almost 4 years running right now, this matter has not been properly addressed in the Parliament. Now, if all the parliamentarians that come from the region, I'm not talking about political party, whether you're from PCRN, you're from MRC, or from CPDM, whether you're from SDF, as long as you are a senator or a parliamentarian from that particular region, and your constituency has been touched, your party differences should be kept aside. I've said this over and over. When COVID-19 struck Ghana, there were different political parties in the nation, but political parties were kept aside, and then they rallied behind the incumbent president to fight a common goal, because the head of the entire Ghanaians was at stake, not the head of a political party. So if we put political party ahead in front of the well-being of the people, we are jeopardizing the masses at our own personal satisfaction. So political parties should be put aside when we are fighting a goal in order to address issues that are on ground.
But do you have the impression that, aside the MPs that you raised, do you have the impression that the political parties themselves, we have the CPRN of Cabral Libi, CRM of Professor Maurice Kamto, we have the Social Democratic Front, and a host of others, do you think they have done enough to show interest of wanting this crisis to be done with?
How do parties that are practically satellite parties to the ruling party, how do you expect them to bite a finger that fits them? All these other parties you hear in the parliament are satellite parties to the ruling party, so they are unable to even bite the finger that fits them. What has Cabral Libi spoken so far as far as the crisis is concerned? Nothing. I'm a Cameroonian, I didn't fall from space, except his partner here would tell me if he spoke anything. Frouni is a person who has even attempted speaking, even though he has said a lot of things. Because why? I'm sure he's not just speaking as SDF, he's speaking as a man that comes from that region and understands the pains of the people. MRC is using the crisis as a political bait to achieve its personal interest. So we get to the political parties and begin to see together they may throw words in the crisis for their self-aggrandizement, not because they have the people at heart. And I think if political parties have to take up the responsibility in this nation, then all their constituents and the parliamentarians are supposed to rally with all the parliamentarians from those constituents who are suffering to walk out of that parliament. That's the truth.
Okay, Manly Marco, good evening to you. You see, why do you block people from not commenting? I'm not sure, Marco. I don't know anybody has blocked you. I don't think so. Nobody is blocking anybody from commenting. That is to Manly Marco, who is raising that. Good evening to you, Ngoran Derek. Avril Nego of Vlogging. Good evening to you, Alucius Gifeki. Good evening to you. Yes, all of you watching us. Nobody is blocking anybody from commenting, please. I don't know who is doing that. Dr Simo, est-ce que vous avez l'impression que les politiciens au Cameroun ont fait assez pour faire éteindre le feu qui se brûle dans le sud-ouest et le nord-ouest?
Merci pour la question, mais j'aurais aimé qu'on la formule autrement.
Okay.
Parce qu'on fait assez, je vais peut-être vous décevoir en disant que j'ai comme impression qu'ils n'ont rien fait.
Okay.
Pourtant, en principe, les partis politiques ou alors les leaders politiques ont beaucoup à faire. Ce sont les suiveurs d'hommes, ce sont les moralisateurs, ce sont les sensibilisateurs, ce sont les formateurs. D'ailleurs, un parti politique est construit autour d'une idéologie. Et lorsque l'idéologie met en évidence la paix, la solidarité, la construction, le partage des valeurs propres à l'Afrique, naturellement, les comportements que l'on va observer au niveau des membres seront des comportements qui vont accompagner cette idéologie. Mais malheureusement, vous n'allez pas me dire le contraire. On a des partis politiques aujourd'hui où les leaders sont plus violents que les membres. Et on voit ce que ça produit. C'est par exemple ce que le chef de l'État appelait les petits partis politiques. On observe. Par contre, il y a des partis politiques à côté qui tentent de faire comme ils peuvent. Mais ce qu'il faut retenir ici, c'est que chaque région du Cameroun est construite autour d'un parti politique, si vous n'avez pas observé. Ça veut dire que à chaque niveau, il y a quand même un ténor, je vais dire ça comme ça, quelqu'un qui fait le poids, quelqu'un qui peut être écouté, quelqu'un qui peut être suivi. Et lorsque je parle de cela, je vois directement, par exemple, le SDF, on a vu le président du parti, SDF, Nivon Foudi, qui s'est battu comme il pouvait, mais qui a fait des choses. Peut-être elles ne sont pas suffisamment considérables, mais elles ne peuvent pas être négligeables. On a vu le chef de l'État agir comme un chef de l'État et instaurer la paix, ramener les citoyens à l'ordre, ramener les enfants égarés à des meilleurs sentiments et se battre comme il pouvait. Mais lorsqu'on a des partis politiques qui vont vous impulser dans une violence, lorsqu'on a des partis politiques qui vont sans cesse développer la haine, la xénophobie, le tribalisme, rassurez-vous, on ne peut pas arriver à une atténuation de cette situation. Parce que vous conviendrez avec moi, il y a des partis souterrains qui sponsorisent cette guerre de manière souterraine. Ça, tout le monde le sait. Donc, il est important, et ça, il faut le dire très honnêtement, c'est pas une question, c'est pas une interrogation qu'on devrait encore faire. Certainement, les partis politiques ont un rôle immense à jouer dans la crise anglophone. Du moins, on se rend tous compte que c'est une crise sociopolitique. Ça veut dire qu'à un moment, un leader de parti a quelque chose à dire. Il a un nombre de militants derrière lui. Ça veut dire qu'ils se sont écoutés. Lorsqu'il donne une information, il y a un nombre de personnes, un parterre d'individus qui vont le suivre. Et c'est pas à négliger. Mais lorsqu'on a des leaders qui ont des orientations personnelles, censées sur des intérêts propres, qui n'ont pas des intérêts dans la construction de l'État, dans la construction de la nation, qui n'ont pas des visées pour tous les Camerounais, mais des visées purement personnelles. C'est pour ça qu'on arrive à ce qu'on est aujourd'hui. Et que j'entends des gens me dire, on est à 4 ans que ça dure. Oui, c'est vrai, on est à 4 ans que ça dure. Mais je crois que le chef de l'État a essayé de montrer à sa manière, et tant bien que mal, tout ce qu'il peut faire pour démontrer, pour amener, n'est-ce pas, tous les enfants à se réunir dans la paix et dans la tranquillité. Et on ne va pas oublier, permettez que je chute, également les actions de l'honorable Cabral Libi. Là, tout le monde l'a vu. Il a fait des propositions, il a dit ce qu'il pouvait dire, mais le poids n'est pas perceptible. Peut-être parce qu'il y a une minorité. Pourtant, ils sont nombreux à se tourner vers cette situation. Et c'est ce que je disais à l'entame de cette affaire. Lorsque la crise anglophone a commencé, je crois que c'est une situation qui devrait mettre ensemble tous les partis politiques. Mais malheureusement, qu'est-ce que nous constatons aujourd'hui? Rassurez-vous, il y a des leaders politiques, il y a des membres, des hommes politiques qui viennent sur des plateaux et sont d'accord avec les actions des Zimbabwe, sans se cacher, sans se voiler le visage. Malheureusement, c'est dommage. Il faut le décrier et se rendre compte que les leaders politiques ont un rôle immense à jouer dans le retour de la paix dans cette partie du territoire.
Okay, good evening to you, Avril Nego Vlogging, Kenneth King, Tori Tumenta. Good evening to you, Alain Jomo, and to you, Free. Miranda, my friend, watching from Limbe. Good evening to you and the family, Sisiko. Oscar, good evening to you, Tita Julius, and to you, Stanley New Semo, and to you, Godi, New Konyu, who is always watching. Goranderica, good evening to you, and all of you. Now, Prince Joel, we have not seen a common front from the political parties with that sole objective to wanting to see this crisis end. It is very often said in the ranks of, within the ranks of political parties that if we could be apart, we want the President of the Republic. But we have not seen a common front in the political parties to say our brothers are dying in the Northwest and Southwest. Our objective now is to make sure that this crisis is solved.
No, Mr. Liu, I think that we've seen a group of persons who've come together with the objective to see that the crisis ends.
Okay, for example?
I'm talking about Stand Up for Cameroon.
No, I mean political parties. Yes.
Mr. Liu, I'm coming. Okay. I'm coming. Stand Up for Cameroon has CPP of Edith Kabangwala. Stand Up for Cameroon has PAP of Njang Denis. Stand Up for Cameroon has other political parties. They have MP3. They have so many political parties that are buried under Stand Up for Cameroon. And the objective, they have two things. They believe that the regime is tired, and they believe that the crisis is caused by the regime. And that if the crisis should end, then the regime should give way. So we cannot say that we've not seen political parties come up as a
but what is the weight of these parties?
No, Mr.
When we talk of political parties that are represented at the National Assembly, we have the CPRN of Kabralibi, we have the SDF, we have a host of others, but we have also a political party like that of Professor Maurice Kamto, that is
CPRN.
Yes.
Mr. Liu, you know the issue is there is something that Apostle said before now, and he talked about satellite parties. It's very correct. I think that far from Cabral Libi, who is not in the government, all other political parties that have representative at the National Assembly are members of government. Talk about Bello Buma Magari, he's there. Talk about Issa Chiruma Bakari, he's in the government. All of them are in the government. It means that in one way or the other, we cannot authoritatively call those political parties. And if you even look at the PCRN of Cabral Libi, there is an individual whose name I will call, who said on a media platform, Bandakani, that he has proofs to show the world that Cabral Libi's party belongs to Jack Famdongo. And we were expecting that he should rise up. Because if you come up and say Prince has done this when I've not done it, it's been normal that I should react. But if I do not react, it means that something is wrong somewhere. So I feel that, Mr. Liu, looking at the political parties that are at the National Assembly, we know the role the Social Democratic Front is playing. Even Dr. Simo of the CPDM has affirmed that we cannot ignore the role Ni John Fundi is playing. They are playing a great role. But when you look at these other political parties, the first thing you need to know is that these political parties are not directly touched by the crisis. Our man of the PCRN started. All his greetings was Nyong Ekele Ezeka. It tells you that the political party has a center, a focus. It means that if the PCRN, a very simple example even, was there any militant, both for municipal and legislative elections, for the PCRN in the Northwest and the Southwest? Was there any? There wasn't.
Yeah, so, but let's look beyond municipal and parliamentary. Most of them went for the presidential elections. You go for presidential elections because you want to govern the entire nation. How do you govern an entire nation when the people of the Southwest and Northwest regions are not?
Mr. Leo, what I'm saying here is, you only go for something if that thing has benefits to you.
Yeah, but they wanted to rule the nation.
Mr. Leo, I'm coming. They wanted to rule the nation, and they believe that if they have the 8 other regions, they've gotten the 2. It means that if I get all the whole 8 regions, and I don't have the Northwest and the Southwest, then the ball game is over. It means that because if you look at it well, the political party that is losing since the crisis started is the Social Democratic Front. That's why the CPDM has the whole Northwest and Southwest region. The only area where the SDF has in the Northwest and the Southwest is Bamenda 3. That's why the CPDM has 100% councillors, 100% parliamentarians in the Northwest and the Southwest. Why? Because the people did not actually vote. Even if they voted, what percentage voted? So I feel that if there is somebody who should cry here, even the Bible says it, that thou shalt not mourn more than a bereaved. If there is somebody who has a funeral here, it's a Social Democratic Front. That is why you see the Social Democratic Front every day coming up with new ideologies. And Mr. Leo, we should say that political parties have a pivotal role in the revolution of a country. If you look at the independent struggle of Africa, Apostle is going to agree with me. Look at the role the CPP played in Ghana, under Kwame Nkrumah. Look at Namzi Ezikewe. Look at Jomo Kenyatta. The history of Africa we have today was political parties. It's very true that pressure groups came to add their focus, but political parties played a major role.
Don't you have the impression that the focus of political parties today is for Biya to leave than a solution to the ongoing crisis, war in the Northwest and Southwest region?
Mr. Leo, the truth is most political parties, the objective of a political party, I want to borrow the words of Dr. Simo, is that they have an ideology. The ideology of every political party is to take over power.
Yes.
That's the main reason. Yes. If you look at the brain behind the CRM, its formation, the reason they went for the presidential elections was to take over power. The reason why PCRN of Cabral, not by then, not a PCRN, the reason why Cabral Libi went under Parti Univers, under Mukulvondo, was because he wanted to take the presidency. So the political parties, the main idea political parties have, first of all, is the presidency.
We already know the political calendar. Presidential elections are coming up 2025. Yes, but while waiting, why not, pourquoi est-ce que tout le monde ne se réunit pas que pendant que les élections présidentielles viennent, faisons tout et tout pour que la guerre s'arrête?
Mr. Leonard, permit me first of all, I've been cited here, maybe by all the co-panelists here today. Permit me to try to bring an attempt of answer. I know that cannot clarify their doubt. But I want to bring just an attempt of answer. I want to start with Mr.
Joel.
No, Mr. Apotre.
Apostle.
Yeah, Apostle. Ambe, I think. He said that Mr. Cabral Libi never came up with something clearly about the Anglophone crisis, how to solve the crisis. I can say that I'm attempted to say that you have never been listening to him, or since the personality does not interest you, you don't even want to know what happened or what he said or not. So I will ask you to try and remove that very quick, because he has been doing proposition. No, not teaching. He just said proposition, and I said it before starting that it's an attempt to clarify something. Mr. Cabral has been every time, before even he started with his politics, before he started with Univers, he has been talking about the Anglophone crisis, bringing his own solution, even under Univers or under PCL.
No, I remember, no. To clarify that point, I remember that I met with Cabral Libi at the University of Bamenda during the university games. He was already talking about this crisis.
No, in 2016, 17.
Mr. Lu, you should know that the Cabral Libi was building a political agenda.
No, he says even before the crisis. No, he says
something. So
he says it was a political.
If you say so, he says Mr. Joel, if you say so, I can say that we are building a political agenda talking about that.
I met Cabral Libi
you cannot
in the University of Bamenda. We talked about it I met him. We discussed about it because I had been following his outings on platforms, TV platforms in Yaoundé. So I met him and we talked about that to tie with what he's saying. Well, it's not like, yeah.
So to close that very quick, I heard Mr. Joe saying, talking about Mr. Bandakani, who accused Mr. Cabral of, or accused the political party of Cabral that the political party belongs to or is owned by Professor Jack Famdongo, and you are asking but to Cabral to bring the proof. It's very...
I did not say you should bring proof.
Or to come and say that it's not true.
If I say you have raped, will you stay quiet?
Bring the proof that I have raped.
Si je dis que tu as violé,
no,
tu vas réagir?
No, I'm okay with you. Since I've not been touched about that, I can leave you to be saying what you want to say. It does not touch me. No, but that's what you think. Don't, please, we should. It's very difficult that there's a responsible of a problem and we are trying to touch everybody, any other person, leaving the real person that is responsible of the Anglophone crisis. I think here that the real responsible of that crisis is the regime that is in place. We should not going to be talking about the Social Democratic Fund, the CPP, and accusing them, knowing our environment today, knowing how Cameroon functions today. So, and the third thing, je voulais m'appesantir sur ce que le docteur a dit tout à l'heure. Elle a dit à l'entame de son propos qu'elle avait l'impression que les partis politiques n'avaient rien fait par rapport à ce problème. Moi, j'ai l'impression, ou alors j'ai même envie de croire que le docteur a l'impression qu'elle ne sait pas dans quel pays elle vit, sachant dans quel parti politique elle sort, sachant qu'ils sont avec des gens qui se sont accaparés de tout et qui n'écoutent rien et qui ne veulent écouter personne. Vous savez très pertinemment que le président Biya a convoqué un très grand dialogue national. Et dans ce grand dialogue national, les gens, la société civile, les partis politiques ont fait des propositions dont on a remis au Premier ministre, particulièrement le PCRN, dont nous avons fait des propositions, je peux citer ici quelques-uns, notamment la libération de tous ces prisonniers qui ont été arrêtés durant ces cadres, ne serait-ce que pour apaiser les cœurs des uns et des autres. Mais dire aujourd'hui que les partis politiques n'ont pas fait assez, ça veut dire, connaissant l'environnement dans lequel nous vivons, que c'est très difficile pour un parti politique qui n'a pas de connaissances avec le RDPC, comme mes confrères disaient tout à l'heure, de pouvoir se lever et mener une action et laisser simplement pour qu'ils puissent mener cette action, sans être muselé et oppressé par le régime en place. Donc je trouve que c'est pas très, bon, je dirais pas catholique, mais pas très sincère de dire aujourd'hui que...
Mais avant de créer ce parti, Cabral Libi connaissait déjà le climat politique dans le Cameroun. Il espérait qu'on devait le...
Oui, justement, pour vous répondre,
déjà, non?
Effectivement, ce n'est pas pour dire... Nous savons tous dans le pays, c'est pas parce que nous savons que nous sommes face aux gens qui nous oppriment, qui ne nous laissent pas réagir, qu'on va rester tranquille. On va toujours tenter essayer, et c'est pour ça que nous sommes là aujourd'hui. Nous décrions. Nous sommes là dans une voie de trouver une solution. Si nous retrouver devant, par exemple, My Prime TV aujourd'hui, peut permettre aux uns aux autres d'écouter de ce côté-là, si certains de nos confrères nous écoutent, s'ils nous écoutent, si ça peut permettre d'apaiser les choses, parce que si on pense compter sur ce régime, sur eux, pour pouvoir passer nos solutions, moi je pense que c'est très loin, nous sommes très loin d'arriver à une solution.
Yes, you wanted to react to something? Okay, now we have not seen enough on ground. These are political leaders, parties that are supposed to exist according to the following of the militants. To say that all these political parties, they are national political parties,
of course,
who have militants in the northwest and the southwest regions. We have not seen them in Kamer. We have not seen them in Wum. We have not seen them in Batibo. We've not seen them in... Are they afraid of their militants?
How does a political party create a parliamentarian in a place where the parliamentarian is not staying there? Is it ghost parliamentarian? According to the Quebec status in Canada, one of the obligations of a parliamentarian or a senator is to live within the vicinity where he's elected, the constituency, so that he knows the very life of the people, what they are going through, their challenges, so that he can take it now, go to the Senate or to the Parliament and present it as a worry. A parliamentarian lives in Yaoundé and he is the one that has the constituency of Batibo. He is watching his constituency through Facebook and television. Then you expect him to go and sit in the glass house and talk what is happening in Batibo. Is that not magic? We have mayors who have councils. They are not staying in the council. They have carried council and put in a bag. They are signing birth certificate for Batibo in a day. They are signing birth marriage certificate for Batibo in Yaoundé. The mayor has a council in his back. I'm talking about Cameroon, green, red, yellow. People are carrying constituencies in their backs, carrying councils in their backs. Then you are telling me that they are not represented in the environment, so they were not elected, they were appointed. And since they were appointed, they do not have a say, because he that fits you controls you. He that appoints you has an influence over you. And these are offices we expected the masses to have chosen their leaders. But what is so bad is that elected offices in Cameroon have become offices of appointment, which is very bad. Mayors are appointed.
Yeah, you are talking about elected officials. We are going to come to them. I'm talking about national political parties. We have
those parties are not the ones that produce the elected officials.
No, I mean that we are talking about how close are they to the suffering population of the southwest and northwest regions. We have their national political parties. We would have expected that since their militants are suffering in Camer, their militants are suffering in Batibo, their militants are suffering in Cameroun, we should see these national presidents of political parties in solidarity, at least to feel what these people are going through, but hardly do we see them there.
If I'm a political party that ask me that question, I will channel it to my representative in that region. I cannot divide myself in all the regions. So when we are talking about political parties, we should be talking about the representatives of the political parties in specific places.
Do you see them on
if
ground?
I thought the national chairman of SDF has to hear the worry of those in Batibo, it is his representative there, which is a parliamentarian or the senator, that has to carry the report to him. So if the political party is supposed to be represented by his chairman, then the chairman was supposed to be connected by his representative there. I'm telling you that even the representatives who are supposed to carry information to the chairman, that will cause the entire party gang to come down and see the worry of the people, is not even present. It's like you are an eye to me, and the eye that I kept there is no longer there. How do I see?
You are more powerful. Yeah, you are more powerful than the eye. So if the eye is not there, why don't you go down there?
The eye was not appointed by you. The eye was elected. That's a danger.
But that's my question. No, my question is, let's take the
do you think Fundi can just get up and sack in the document? It's not possible.
I'm saying that we are going to come to elected officials. You're talking about elected officials.
Yes.
I'm talking about national parties. Senior Barrister Ashu Emmanuel was here yesterday. He has a party that is national. It is supposed that he has representatives in the southwest and northwest regions. We have Kabranibi's party. We have Prince Ekoso and a host of others. Do we see them? Because if their representatives are not there because they don't have the means, but you have all the means as the head of the party. Yes. Of the party. Do we see them actually feeling what the people are going through?
Who is not afraid of his head?
Are they not their militants? Are they afraid of their militants?
Listen. We have to be. The problem we have on this platform, on TV, sometimes is that we are trying to make things go. No, I don't want. I don't want us to
okay, you mean they don't have militants down there?
Who's militants?
Okay, this is what I wanted to know.
Just to say something, to pass very quickly.
Okay. Who's militants?
Mr. Leo, I want just to precise that. So, I think in 2017 or in 2018,
Mr. Leo, please. How do you explain that all people have escaped into the bushes in CPDA has 56,000 voters in that place?
Permit me to say something.
People are living in the bushes. Where did they register? When did they get electoral cards? On what polling station did they vote? Do you hear that the ruling party have 50,000? Is it ghosts that voted the party in that place where all gone to the bushes? I don't know where we are. They have no militants there because most of the people have left political parties. They have another dream.
Okay.
It will shock you to understand that the people were SDF, but no longer SDF people. They are standing up for something different.
So these are people who are claiming that they have national parties, they don't have militants. Non,
Merci Léo. Moi je dis, vous voyez combien c'est amusant. Mais ça fait pleurer.
Oui.
Moi, je l'ai suivi avec beaucoup d'intérêt, mais je ne suis pas très d'accord. Ça, je vais être honnête. Parce que nous sommes dans une situation extrêmement délicate. On parle de la mort de nos frères.
Oui.
On parle de la diminution du nombre de militants, si vous voulez comprendre ça comme ça, pour montrer avec énergie, avec force, la raison pour laquelle les leaders politiques devraient se lever. Mais à chaque fois, s'il faille focaliser l'attention sur Biamosgo, parce que voilà le véritable problème, c'est qu'on laisse le problème qui est important, on laisse la situation pourrie, se dégrader, mais à chaque fois, on est intéressé par un acteur qu'on voudrait simplement remplacer. C'est le
docteur, c'est vous qui laissez la situation pourrie.
Non, la situation n'est pas pourrie. Le RDPC à chaque fois, non. Le RDPC à chaque fois a démontré, non, permettez. Je peux vous laisser parler et puis après, je crois que je vous ai laissé parler avec toute la politesse et l'élégance possible. Permettez que je termine. Donc, je suis en train de dire ceci. On ne peut pas s'asseoir aujourd'hui. Les citoyens sont en train de mourir. Nos frères sont en train de périr. Nos soeurs sont en train d'être coupées comme des...
Je ne comprends pas. Est-ce que
comme des
bouts de... les militants des partis
justement, moi, je suis étonné d'entendre comme si on essaye de refuser, de se refuser le fait qu'ils sont des militants. Mais ils sont des militants des partis politiques. C'est une évidence. Mais au-delà d'être militants, ils sont des citoyens camerounais. Et l'élément qu'on ne peut pas leur refuser, ce sont nos frères. Ce sont nos sœurs. Ça, c'est l'élément qu'on ne peut pas leur refuser. Permettez-le que je vous dise quelque chose. Au-delà du caractère militant, ils sont nos frères, ils sont nos sœurs. Ça veut dire que ces deux aspects sont énormément ou alors suffisants pour que tous les leaders politiques se mobilisent pour dire stop.
Mais docteur Simon aussi, votre président aussi n'est pas parti voir ses enfants. Hein.
Attendez.
Ce sont les militaires.
Permettez, lorsque vous dites que le président du RDPC n'est pas allé voir ses enfants, de quoi parlez-vous? Non, soyons concrets.
Qui n'était pas sur le terrain,
de quoi parlez-vous? Non, soyons sérieux à un moment.
Docteur Simon.
Il est important qu'on dise les vérités clairement. De quoi parlons-nous?
Les ministres sont allés voir les gens?
Non. De quoi parlons-nous? Vous dites le chef de l'État.
Non,
le chef de l'État.
Il n'a jamais descendu au terrain.
Je vous en prie.
Permettez. Docteur, que je vous relance alors, si vous voulez vraiment comprendre ce que je suis en train de dire. Je veux dire que les gens qui vivent dans le sud-ouest et le nord-ouest sont des citoyens camerounais.
Parfait.
Ils sont aussi des militants des partis politiques.
Évidemment.
Les partis d'opposition ne sont pas allés voir leurs militants et n'arrivent pas à parler à leurs militants que suivons cette route. Oui. Mais aussi, le président de la République, c'est le président d'un parti politique. Oui. Ce sont ces militants aussi, non?
Oui, nous sommes d'accord.
Oui, c'est ça que je parle.
Avant d'être ces militants, ce sont ces citoyens. Oui. Et c'est ça qui est important. Et je crois que des actions en tant que citoyens ont été énormément menées. Vous n'allez pas me dire le contraire.
Comme? Non, allez-y.
Non, je vous en prie, des actions en tant que citoyen. Combien de fois le chef de l'État a tendu la main aux enfants qui sont dans les brousses? Qu'est-ce que vous voulez me faire démontrer aujourd'hui? Combien de fois le chef de l'État a tendu la main? Combien de fois le chef de l'État a tenté de reconstruire? D'ailleurs même, c'est une zone qui est particulièrement en reconstruction permanente, bien que la crise ne soit pas terminée. Combien de fois le chef de l'État a accompagné les populations en détresse? Vous n'allez pas dire que vous n'êtes pas au courant de tout ça. C'est là parce que physiquement, il n'est pas descendu que vous allez dire qu'il n'est pas descendu. Nous savons tous comment il agit. Si un ministre va par le biais du chef de l'État et dans des actions de reconfort du chef de l'État, vous n'allez pas dire qu'il n'a pas assisté. Il a été présent d'une manière ou d'une autre. Ça, il faut le reconnaître.
Very briefly, what we have in the Northwest and Southwest now are pressure groups, not militants of parties. Secessionists is not a political party. Federalists are not a political party. Independentists are not a political party. They are pressure groups. And I want us to accept this simple fact that what we have now in the Northwest and the Southwest are not political parties. They are not militants of a political party. They are pressure groups. They are looking for something that political party are looking for, because if they're a political party, they will not catch Fundi and flock him. That's the president of the national party. If they were a political party, they will not want to eliminate every minister that belongs to the CPDM in that environment. Militants don't kill their superiors. Militants don't kidnap their superiors. Militants don't torture their superior. So I don't think there are when this rigmarole with rigmarole on television should be avoided. What we have in the Northwest and Southwest are not political party members. There are pressure groups agitating for something different from what political parties are asking for. That's the reason they get so offended and angry each time a political party member or a political party president.
But you say they are federalists in the Southwest and Northwest region.
Yes.
The political parties that are also advocating for federation. No?
Political party advocating for federation doesn't make them members.
Okay.
Are all federalists SDA members? Listen, the federalists, the SDA wants to get federation through elections. These people want to get federation to restoration.
Okay.
Bon, je sais pas si c'est
two different things.
Non, comment dire, mais si c'est pour juste pour une anecdote.
Prise de parole, hein. Vous voulez prendre, il parle, vous revenez.
Bon, non. Justement, si c'est ma prise de parole, je suis tout au moins très ameurtri quand j'écoute le docteur.
Non, dites ce que vous avez.
Non, c'est un débat, monsieur Lionel.
Okay.
Le grand frère tout à l'heure a dit quelque chose de très pertinent. On ne peut pas toujours venir devant les télévisions faire de l'amalgame. Connaissant les réalités des choses, on fait comme si on vivait dans un autre pays. Il est tout à fait lamentable qu'on dise ici que les partis politiques ne partent pas rencontrer leurs militants. Mais de quels militants nous parlons ici? Puisque la plupart même de ceux qui étaient encore militants, qui avaient du militantisme envers eux, ont déserté ces endroits. Il n'y en a que des groupes de pression, comme disait mon confrère tout à l'heure. Alors, quand vous parlez des leaders, moi je pense que le président du PCN, qui est l'honorable Cabral Libi, est l'un des seuls, ou alors l'un des premiers leaders politiques qui s'est rendu à Batibo. Je pense que les images sont encore sur les réseaux sociaux. Qui s'est rendu à Batibo, je pense que c'était en 2017 ou en 2018. Dans les années, en début 2018. Il s'est rendu à Batibo où il a même...
début 2010.
Début 2018. Non, c'était avant la présidentielle. Non, ils sont before the presidential election. Alors il s'est rendu là-bas où il a même échappé quelque chose de très dangereux. Donc du coup, j'aimerais que quand nous nous retrouvons là, si apportons des solutions...
Elle était fortement sécurisée.
Hein. Militarisée.
Oui, oui.
Ah bon, c'est ce que vous pensez, mais vous n'êtes au courant d'absolument rien.
Mais comment mais finalement de quoi vous parlez?
Il était militarisé.
Attendez, mais il était sous autoprotection, c'est ce qu'on veut dire.
De
quoi vous parlez?
Des camarades.
Pas du oh my God!
C'est que des camarades. Mais je vous le dis.
What are you talking about like this? What are you talking about like this?
Je vous le dis, on ne peut pas venir sur une plateau.
On ne va pas établir une comparaison entre des actions. Non, c'est
pas une comparaison que je fais.
Non, on ne peut pas construire un débat.
Si nous sommes dans l'incapacité de relier, si nous, militants, ou alors le PCN, n'a pas les représentants dans le nord-ouest ou le sud-ouest, actuellement, compte tenu de cette crise, au moins les leaders devrait faire les efforts et descendre sur le terrain. C'est ce que mon confrère a dit tout à l'heure. Mais je tenais à apporter cette précision que le président du PCN, l'honorable Cabral Libi, s'est rendu à Batibo et qu'il a été protégé au moment où ça a dégénéré par certains camarades qui, en ce moment-là, vivaient encore là-bas. C'était pas les forces de l'armée. Il faut que nous revenons ou nous disons les choses telles qu'elles sont. Okay, je parle de Batibo en 2018.
Vous avez terminé. Okay, now, do you have the impression that almost all leaders of political parties are even afraid to visit their militants?
Of course.
It's clear. It's very glaring. It's very glaring. That is not that is a question whose answer is affirmative. But
how do we explain that 4 years after nobody's going down there?
Yeah, Mr. Liu, there is something I think that we should also clear here. When we separate President Paul Biya from the CPDM, it's not so good. We're talking about leaders of political parties.
Yes.
And he's the leader of the CPDM. It means that if Cabral Libi is going to Bamenda, he should go. If Ni John Fundi is going to Mave, he should go. He's the leader of a political party. When Paul Biya was running for the 2018 presidential elections, he was not the head of state. He was the chairman of a political party called the CPDM. And people voted the CPDM. That is why he won the presidential elections. And in 2025, that we shall still have presidential elections, he will be running as the chairman of a political party. Okay? No. Which means that where we are now, it is very true that he is benefiting during elections as the incumbent. But he's the candidate for elections. Which means he has two camps. First, the father of the nation. Second, the leader of a political party. Mr. Liu, when this crisis were at its early stage, in 2016, 2017, it's very true that the effervescence is dying. But just a word from the president, maybe in Bamenda. The CPDM was founded in Bamenda. Dr. Simon, no argue with me.
Everybody knows it.
During his nationwide tour in 1983, I'm sure, he said Bamenda is his second home. In Boya, he said he was born a Cameroonian, he will live a Cameroonian, and he will die a Cameroonian. Cameroonians were like, hey, we're hearing something that his predecessor, Ahijo did not talk in English. Now, when Pobia came with English, Anglophones were like, this is our Messiah. Now, if the crisis is still ongoing, what stops the president from going to Boya? Go to Boya and tell the children, my children, you cannot carry arms against fatherland. Go to Bamenda and tell the children, my children, you cannot be in the bushes when I've created DDR centers. Come out of the bushes and go to DDR centers. But when each day we need to sit on microphones, sit under air conditions, and think that we can win the war through words, it is not true. Because political parties in Cameroon, so to say, and linked to the Anglophone crisis, to me, there are just two of them. Here I'm talking about the SDF and the CPDM. The SDF today has just 5 parliamentarians at the National Assembly. The UNDP has 7. The SDF lost all its parliamentarians in the northwest and the southwest. Why? Just like Apostle said, today we have left political parties to pressure groups. Who were those who voted in the northwest and the southwest? The stronghold of the northwest. You will not tell me that Joshua Ossi will lose elections even in his own village. It's absurd. You will not tell me that Ni John Fundi will lose elections in Santa. Where are we going to?
It's possible.
No. What is it? Can Pobia lose elections in the south?
Non, mais c'est possible, tu peux parler-vous.
C'est possible,
je pense que c'est pour une question.
Docteur, j'ai vu, there is a possibility, but the possibility is not there.
The probability is 1 is to 99.
Docteur, j'ai vu comment dans le village au sud, j'ai vu comment on a versé l'eau d'un confrère. Sur un confrère. Sam c'est vrai Ango. Quand il arrive au village, il dit je suis là pour le CRM. On a dit en patois, pas ici.
I want to ask you the question, where is it now?
Okay. Well, it's not my interest, but what I'm saying, Leo, my point I was making is that because your question is why are we not seeing leaders of political parties? We have seen what the chairman has done. I had the opportunity to interview.
Are they afraid?
They are afraid because the terrain, Nijon, an old man like that came out with bruises all over.
Okay, we saw what happened to Kadina Tumi.
He's not even a politician. Mr. Luke, if we see these persons who are supposed...
There are no militants down there. Or the militants are afraid.
The militants are there. There is something Apostle said, which I think that, Mr. Liu, if we had understood it, maybe we would have reduced the stress. A majority of our mayors, our parliamentarians, Yaoundé fabricated them, force them on the people and their parliamentarians. How many of them know their area? The parliamentarian of my village from 2013, he will be going to 2025. If you go there, I was there during how many people voted? So the thing is, we cannot be talking about politics. The Anglophone crisis as of now, Mr. Liu,
so they are afraid, so they are afraid of their base. Now, special good evening to you, the very hardworking regional delegate of public health for the Northwest region, Dr. Cheso Kingsley. Good evening to you and everybody watching us from Bamenda. Mr. Ndaji John sent a contribution all the way from South Africa. If it's ready, can we take a listen to him?
Good evening, viewers of my Media Prime, and thank you, Mr. Liu, again this evening for your time and effort to put this show together. Owing to the Anglophone crisis, as I would call it, it's becoming a problem where life is becoming so difficult to the Anglophones while they are diving into the French regions to seek refuge. But this problem cannot be resolved without the colonial interventions of the France. And mind you, Mr. Biya himself cannot declare a personal non grata in order to solve this problem. Because if he tries to solve the problem on his own, I bet you he might not live up to 48 hours on his throne. He has been in helm of this Cameroon's crisis. And I would tell you that the United Nations and AU could have solved this problem long ago. But the reason why this problem cannot be solved by either of the United Nations or AU, it's because the chiefs and thorns and the traditional rulers and the political leaders from the north and southwest regions have not been able to speak in one voice. Cardinal Christian Tame tried in his ability to put together a discussion group that could have looked into the lasting solution and peace in the southwest and northwest region. But owing to the fact that a lot of individuals in this region are benefiting from the ruling power or the ruling government, and different individuals who have taken this as a source to make their own personal income and change their lives, they do not see a force to reckon with when it comes to ceasefire. We have been in the war for 4 years. And if you look at solutions, in 2003 and 2004, the NCNC of the Anglophone groups of people that had discussions, they talk of explosions of the colonial power and the British colony for secession. This never happened, and the explosion is happening right now, where people are in the bushes fighting for something that they do not really understand and they have never read the history. Why do we fight for something we cannot manage? Why do we fight for something we cannot own at the point in time? Where are our chiefs? We appointed people to become our rulers by inheritance, as we might say, because that's what's happening to most chiefs. What are these chiefs doing? If the chiefs are not there to do the work of the people, then they must not stand there as chiefs. The killing in the Anglophone region has gone over its limit. If you read one of the extracts from the Associate Professor Michael Atenkeng about post-colonial Africa, you would really understand that in one of his books, he really explains what Steve Hashes says: peace in our time will depend in part and on borders of international understandings of the world conflict. What is the international understanding of the world's conflict? The world's conflict says where there is conflict, like in Sudan, in Angola, and in South Africa, the people spoke in one voice. Jonas Savimbi and the people of Angola spoke on one side. That is why the United Nations and AU came into their rescue. Today, Angola is still a devastated country, even though they have so much money. Sudan, the people in Southern Sudan spoke in one voice. That is why they came to their rescue, even though they have not been able to build their economy. The people in Cameroon, the English and French, who are fighting for secession, some of them are benefiting from the government. The people in the diaspora as well are benefiting from the government. If they say the good things, the government give them millions of rand, millions of Cfa and dollars. And that is why the conflict keeps on sitting in the same position. And this thing will not be solved anytime soon. It will not be solved anytime soon if the divide continues. What are the chiefs doing on the ground? If those chiefs, funds, traditionally political parties in the English region, especially Northwest and Southwest, come together and sit and force Biya will go back to France and say that my people don't want to put down the tools. In a country like South Africa, where if the people are not happy, what they do is their unions fight for them. They don't go to work. Everybody speaking one voice, and the government changes its action. Why can't we do that? But we want a lasting peace. This lasting peace will not come if English and French, the Anglophone Cameroonians, which is Northwest and Southwest, if we do not speak in one voice and be one. Conflict cannot be restored if the people who are trying to restore are not united in one front. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, and Daji John, coming in there from South Africa. We hope you are going to be sending more contributions. Apostle Lambe Valentine Ngwa, he raised many issues. I don't know whether you have a reaction to what he just said, but my question to you has to do with our elected officials. They are in parliament. They have not been able to raise this issue, discuss it, carry the plight of the people. And then it is true, we are talking about MPs from the Northwest and Southwest regions, but it is said in Cameroon that an MP is an MP for the nation now. So if an MP is an MP for the nation, it means that an MP from Mayo Sava is supposed to carry the aspirations of the people of the Northwest and Southwest regions. Why don't we see that synergy?
When it comes to resources, it is Cameroon. When it comes to war, it's Nozo.
The because an MP is an MP for the nation.
When it comes to timber and cocoa and petrol, it is Cameroon. When it comes to both it's the Nozo. That means the country is ours because of the resources. It's not because of the people. The evil that occurs in a region doesn't concern everybody, but the good that occurs in that region makes the region our own. What an exploitative mentality. There are MPs from Mayo Danai, Mayo Chanaga, Faro Edio, Mayo Re, from the north. They are from Garwa, Marwa, East. They don't bring this issue up because why? It doesn't touch them.
But they are MPs for the nation.
Yes, MP for the nation. That's they are MPs for the entire 10 regions when it concerns the timber and the cocoa and the fuel in Northwest and Southwest. When it comes to Bameta man dying, Bafut man dying, Kambe man dying, and a man from Ja Elobo does not die. A man from Faro Edio does not die. A man from Baturi does not die. It is not a matter of Cameroon again, it's a matter of Nozo. Carry your trouble as a region. Bring the resources as a nation. I'm here as a political analyst, and that's what I'm going to say. The parliament is the strongest arm in every nation. In Rwanda, Paul Kagame wanted to go out of power. The parliament sat down, revamped the constitution, and begged him to come back. That's the strength of a parliament. John Pombe Magufuli in Tanzania, he has refused a third term in office. The parliament sat down, revamped constitution, and begged him to come back. He refused. That is the strength of a parliament. But we have a presidentialist system of government where all parliamentarians are like robots. They are only controlled through buttons from the executive bureau. You go down to Cote d'Ivoire. The parliament sat down in 2016 through the influence of the executive party of Alassane Ouattara, Adama Bitogo. They changed constitution and gave Alassane Ouattara a third term in office. That's the strength of the parliament. What has the Senate said since this crisis started? A parliament where a subject is not even permitted to be raised tells you that the parliamentarians are robots who are being controlled. A parliament where one of the parliamentarians stands up to raise up this issue, he is chased tooth and nail out of the country. How do you explain that we have a parliament where the parliamentarians are being remote-controlled? We have a Senate where we go there to gather and collect the grants given to senators. We drive good cars. Why the people we represent in the parliament are crying. I have said the international community will never intervene because why? If a child cries in the house and the father gives the impression that nothing is wrong, nobody will run for the child's rescue. The people who are supposed to cry for the Northwest and Southwest people are supposed to be the fathers who are called parliamentarians and senators that represent those constituencies. But since the father is quiet, the cry of the child makes no meaning. The fathers are immune, they are legal, they are elected, they have jurisdiction, both within international and national laws. They have the capacity to cause chaos. But they have been quiet because why? As long as money has closed the mouth. I told somebody that we go to school, defend thesis, carry out research, and come back to sell that knowledge for something lesser than the money we pay for the thesis. A doctorate degree holder will come back from school after investing billions in education. But because he belongs to a party, the truth he studied in school with all thesis is being bought with a salary of 600,000 francs. That is to say, what you invested in education because of politics is being bought with something lesser than what you invested. Where is this nation going to? All those who are in the respective places know the truth. But what they are giving them, even lesser than what they spend to get that truth, is not coming out of their mouth. Cameroon has a journey. I mean a journey.
Okay, Dr. Simo, but are you also comfortable with what our MPs have been doing, or they are also helpless? You think they're helpless? We've talked about the fact that the president of the country has not been there. You say, but at least the ministers are there. Mais quand même, on n'a pas vu le président du Sénat et le président de l'Assemblée nationale. Au moins, ce sont les représentants du peuple camerounais, non? On ne les a pas vus descendre au sud-est et au nord-ouest, quand même.
Oui, vous revenez encore sur la question de la descente.
Oui.
Mais permettez-moi de dire que moi j'ai entendu
même pas la descente, au moins
soulevez même le sujet
au
à
Sénat,
l'Assemblée nationale.
Non, permettez que j'aille jusqu'au bout de ma pensée. Vous parlez encore de descendre, mais moi je veux dire le chef de l'État. Ça veut dire qu'à un moment et face à une situation ponctuelle ou précise, il doit jouer le rôle de chef de l'État, et à des moments ou des situations ponctuelles, il doit jouer le chef du parti politique. Et je crois que la situation dans laquelle nous sommes impliqués aujourd'hui, parlant de la crise anglophone, est une situation qui implique un comportement de chef de l'État. Et sincèrement, à ce niveau, je ne peux pas admettre l'idée selon laquelle quelqu'un va me dire que le chef de l'État n'a pas manifesté, n'est-ce pas, ou n'a pas développé des actions dans l'optique de restaurer la paix ou de reconstruire cette partie du territoire qui est en difficulté. Non, il y a des actions qui sont menées, ça tout le monde le sait. Mais ce que j'entends des confrères qui sont en train de refuser ici, c'est le pouvoir des partis politiques, et on insiste sur les parlements. Je dis non. Le véritable problème qui se pose, c'est qu'à chaque fois que l'on aura un regard politique sur la situation, Mr. Léo, excusez-moi, on ne va pas réagir, ou alors on ne va pas poser des actions concrètes nous permettant de résoudre la crise anglophone. Parce que le véritable problème qui se pose d'abord là devant nous, c'est un élément social. Moi je suis d'accord, je peux accepter. Je dis bien, je peux finir par accepter l'idée selon laquelle ils me disent il n'y a plus de partis, il n'y a plus de militants de partis politiques, mais il y a des groupuscules de groupes. Je peux finir par accepter. Mais ce que je vais lui faire comprendre, c'est que puisqu'il y a des minuscules, des groupes d'individus, je crois que c'est l'occasion pour les leaders politiques de les conquérir, parce qu'ils auront besoin de ces éléments pour pouvoir accéder au pouvoir. Du moment où on met en tête ou alors en avant l'intérêt général, qui est l'intérêt du Cameroun. Mais malheureusement, ce qu'ils refusent de voir, c'est qu'au-delà de leurs désirs et de leur volonté individualiste, ce qui les intéresse, c'est leurs intérêts purement personnels. C'est pas que des citoyens meurent dans le nord-ouest ou le sud-ouest. D'ailleurs, il l'a dit d'une autre manière. C'est pas que des enfants du pays sont en train de mourir. C'est pas ça qui l'intéresse. Tout ce qui l'intéresse, c'est que les citoyens, que les individus le transportent et le déposent à la place qu'ils voudraient obtenir. Voilà le véritable problème. Pourtant, en réalité, je vous en prie. Je crois que mon raisonnement est très clair là-dessus.
Non. Quand vous allez parler...
Allez-y, je crois que quand il va terminer, je vais reprendre. Non,
allez-y, docteur.
J'ai souvent l'habitude de voir des impolis ailleurs dans un parti. J'ai pas su que également au PCRN, il y en avait. Je suis désolé. Non, j'ai cru que vraiment... J'ai souvent l'habitude de le voir ailleurs. Ben, je me suis rendu compte qu'également, il y a des brebis galeuses partout. Donc, je suis désolée. Donc, ce que je veux dire, c'est que on ne peut pas mettre tout sur le dos du Parlement. Parce que l'action est purement sociale. J'ai dit tout à l'heure, laissons le fait que ce soit les militants des partis politiques. Mais on ne va pas recuser de son laquelle ce sont des citoyens camerounais. Ça veut dire que ce sont nos frères, ce sont nos sœurs. Et je crois que cette hypothèse est assez lourde et assez solide et assez fort pour que tout le monde s'implique dans la résolution de cette crise qu'on arrête de dire il n'y a pas de parti politique, il n'y a pas les leaders qui sont montés, qui sont descendus. Je crois que le fait que ce soit des citoyens camerounais, que ce soit des êtres humains qui sont en train d'être décapités est assez suffisant pour que tout le monde s'implique.
Oui, tout le monde, même...
Ce sont des potentiels, ce sont des potentiels militants ou potentiels électeurs, si vous
J'ai parlé du Sénat et l'Assemblée nationale. Au moins, on n'a pas vu les présidents du Sénat et de l'Assemblée nationale au moins faire une descente.
Mais je vous ai répondu par l'action du gouvernement qui est le chef de l'État. On a parlé du président de la République. L'action est collégiale. Je vous en prie, l'action est collégiale. Okay. Je peux comprendre que c'était votre volonté. Mais l'action est collégiale. Oui. Lorsque le Premier ministre, le chef du gouvernement fait une descente, il le fait au nom du gouvernement. Maintenant, vous auriez voulu que individuellement, des partis, des individus se présentent. C'est une autre possibilité, Léo.
Le Premier ministre, quand même, c'est l'exécutif, non? Non,
c'est le chef du gouvernement.
Oui, chef du gouvernement. Est-ce que l'Assemblée nationale et l'Assemblée, ils sont sous le Premier ministre?
Du moment où vous citez deux individus du même parti.
Ah, c'est le
Premier ministre du RDPC.
Je vous en prie, vous citez des individus du même parti. Permettez.
Le Premier ministre du RDPC.
Écoutez-moi. Je dis non, on parle d'une action purement gouvernementale. Maintenant, votre désir est que tous se retrouvent alors de manière individuelle. Alors, si un seul individu est parti, je vous en prie, c'est pas ce que je viens de dire. Je vous en prie. Là, je voudrais qu'on soit très clair là-dessus et que mes propos ne soient pas détournés. On a le chef du gouvernement qui est le Premier ministre qui a fait une descente au nom du chef de l'État. Et je crois de tout le gouvernement camerounais. Par conséquent, on ne peut pas dire au jour d'aujourd'hui que le gouvernement camerounais n'est pas descendu, ou alors l'Assemblée nationale ou le Sénat n'est pas descendu pour la question de crise anglophone. Mr. Léo.
Ok, il y a les sénateurs du Nord-Ouest et le Sud-Ouest.
Non, c'est pas ce qui est dit. Mais je crois qu'une action gouvernementale a été menée pour tout le corps gouvernemental. Et c'est ça qui est important.
L'Assemblée nationale et le Sénat, c'est le gouvernement. C'est ce que vous dites?
Vous pensez que c'est quoi? Ça fait partie
Are they not different arms? Are they not different arms?
There are different arms. Tous constituent les institutions camerounaises, à ce que je sache. Tous constituent les institutions camerounaises.
Ok, I did not get it from that sense.
Les étudiants sont en train de prendre note.
C'est très important.
Non, c'est pas toi qui es modérateur, s'il vous plaît.
I'm not. But I just feel the doctor is
No, please.
I don't expect from her.
Qu'est-ce que vous dites?
No. Please. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I really love this program. May God bless you. Please, for Apostle Ambe's number, Reverend Mrs. Eva, writing from Kumba. Good evening to you, Reverend. I will send you Apostle Ambe's number. Now, Cameroon MPs have written that they don't want, they are warning the U.S. Senate. U.S. Senate, Congress. Yes, Congress, and that please, you are so interested in our affairs. Can you leave us alone?
Correct. The issue is the National Assembly, just like Apostle Ambe puts it, is a very strong arm in every country. It is where laws are made. If a police officer picks you today, and you're not putting on maybe your cash or anything, it tells you l'article tel. That l'article doesn't fall from heaven. There are some lawmakers called parliamentarians who sit and say, we think. Now, when you say that the Cameroon National Assembly, Mr. Liu, has written
some members.
Some members. Let me tell you that Cameroon National Assembly is made up of 180 parliamentarians. The CPDM has 140.
More than.
No, 140. I'm talking with precision. Facts and figures I can verify. Out of 180, the CPDM has 140. The president of the National Assembly, Kavayege Jibril, is CPDM. And to my greatest dismay, there is something I was just doing my findings somewhere. I discovered that Kavayege Jibril has been at the National Assembly as a parliamentarian since 1958. He was what you call député suppléant en 1950. Oui, j'étais dépassé. I was shocked. I'm like, where are we? Nous sommes où?
No, ask
I'm asking you a question.
Je veux savoir où est le lien ou alors où est le lien.
Parce que la question est qu'il y a certains députés. Il y a certains députés qui ont écrit. The question is, when we talk of certain parliamentarians, the CPDM has an absolute majority, 140 out of 180. It means that even if the UNDP that has 7, the SDF that has 5, the PCRN that has 5, the UDC, if all of them even decided what the CPDM has said is wrong, it will have no value. That's what we are talking about.
Je crois que quand j'entends le raisonnement, si vous me permettez, de Léo, j'ai l'impression qu'on se, ou alors qu'on refuse de me comprendre à chaque fois.
Are you getting what?
My question is
the reaction of some MPs towards the US.
That is why I'm saying that there's some MPs. I'm saying simply, there's some MPs are CPDM MPs. That's what I'm saying. That we are talking about a National Assembly that is absolutely CPDM.
Yeah,
and Mr. Leo, and that
is there a law that says that because you are CPDM, you should tell the U.S. Congress not to interfere?
Good one there. Yeah. We are living in a country where there is no dissection between the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. The CPDM has what they call Comité Central. I don't want to go too far. We have seen militants of the CPDM on TV platforms asked to quit the platform. It means that they have up. Once the up speaks, it's law. They do not argue. So, the parliamentarians we have today, Mr. Leo, I am saying that the CPDM at the National Assembly, first, has an absolute majority. Second, the CPDM controls the major posts at the level of the President of the National Assembly, the Vice, and now they bring some few people. Like Tabralibu is one of the secretaries.
What is their interest in telling the US guys not to?
Correct. The UN or the US has repeatedly been telling the Cameroon government that there is need for another dialogue. It already means that the UN is undermining what the CPDM held as a dialogue. Therefore, it will be good for parliamentarians of the CPDM to tell the
government that held the CPDM.
Is the chairman of the president.
No, he was under the prime minister.
Who is under the high instructions of the president.
Head of state. I'm not CPDM now.
Mr. Leo, I don't want to go to certain nitty-gritties, but what I'm saying here is that those who wrote authoritatively are CPDM. I'm saying so because I don't see how 5 parliamentarians from the SDF can influence what 140 people say. I do not see how 7 parliamentarians, they could. I do not see how 7 parliamentarians of UNDP, of Bello Buba Magari, though Minister of State, because Bello Buba Magari is Minister of State, Minister of Leisure and Tourism.
You have made
Mr. Leo, this is my point. My point is, you asked me a question, what is the objective of them? And I'm answering you without looking back that those who appended their signatures to that document, simple, as CPDM, and the objective is you do not undermine what our party has done so far to solve the crisis. So we are telling you that what we have done is enough. Do not come into it again.
Yeah, but isn't that also part of sovereignty? We are talking about an independent nation now.
Yes, that is why at one time I want to believe that. Look at, I'm not a militant of the SDF, but I believe that at one time John Fundi would not have heeded to the call to go for elections. That you have a party that was first political party coming to have 5 parliamentarians.
I don't know.
Sovereignty is freedom. You're talking about they have their freedom to react, right?
No, sovereignty as a nation.
No, if it came from the president, it's a different game. We are talking about people we voted to go and represent us. Mr. Leo, a parliamentarian has 2 main functions. If I vote you as my parliamentarian, the reason I vote you is that go to Yaoundé and tell Yaoundé that I do not have a pipe bomb water in my house, that our community is suffering. That's why we make you a parliamentarian.
Are you understanding my question?
I'm getting all your questions, Leo. It's just that I'm not answering it the way you want. That's the truth.
No, I want us to loch at the issue of sovereignty. Sovereignty means that Cameroon is a sovereign state.
But parliamentarians are for a nation.
Yes.
And if parliamentarians are coming up, what they are playing is more of a presidential position. It is a president. It is the government, not parliamentarians. Parliamentarians are not government. Like somebody said here that there is no differentiation between parliamentarians and the government and things like that. Parliamentarians are persons whose terms are renewable. Ministers are appointed. Parliamentarians are elected. We should be able to make this difference.
Joël.
Some of them are members of government. Ça, vous le savez.
Please, excuse me.
Il y en a parmi eux qui sont membres du gouvernement et vous le savez. Vous le savez.
Docteur.
Pourquoi vous voulez qu'on joue avec les mots?
Please. I want us to, people are watching to understand. Cameroon is a sovereign state.
Yes.
Another state is trying to decide about a sovereign state. And the MPs are telling you that please don't interfere in town. Don't you also see it as safeguarding the sovereignty of the state? You don't want to tell me to say anything. That like, yes.
No.
Maybe I'll
Okay, let me comment.
No. He said,
can't take my.
You come.
Okay.
He said, yeah.
Mr. Leo. I don't know if you are refusing to understand what my co-panelists want
No,
to say.
I understand what he's saying, but he's not answering my question.
You have answered your question, Mr. Leo.
You have answered.
Tell me about sovereignty of the state, yes.
Sovereignty of the state, maybe the way they have done it. I think that the person that has the responsibility to rule Cameroon sovereignly is the head of state.
Not parliamentarians.
Not parliamentarians.
Who vote you go and write
The
letters.
parliamentarians are there for two actions. Make laws and to control the government actions.
Okay.
That is it.
So, you can't tell me that parliamentarians should be doing things according to what the government are asking them to do. That's nonsense. That's why he told you that more than 80% of those parliamentarians are coming from one party. I'm coming. Let me finish. I'm not finished. So, when I finish to say that, Mr. Leo, it was just to answer the questions of Mr. Apost, who said those MPs are elected for all the nations, but they are reacting as if they are just elected for
their constituencies.
I want to tell you that for Cameroon, for the principal case of Cameroon, is not true. The problem you are facing in the northwest and southwest is the same problem that could be faced in the north, in the center. The thing is that those parliamentarians do not do what they think, as you just said. They do what is imposed to them. Even if the problem is in their own house, they can react. They don't have no decision. The only 5 or 7 or 20 parliamentarians that can react are because they know that they say it's votes. If they are going out through for vote, they can. Their own voice cannot be heard somewhere. So that's why I'm telling you that we should not belie this problem on parliamentarians. We have seen how SDF have tried to put this problem in the parliament. No way. They have tried. Oh, we saw it everywhere. They have tried, but no way. So we should.
Are you saying that? Let's forget about parliamentarians. Are you saying that if Honorable Cabral Libi, as national president of CPRN, the national president of MRC, Professor Maurice Kamto, Madame Edith Kabanwala, Frunzi, all of them, Gaga Hamad Aji, they say that today all of them come together to say, let us wait with taking part. We want this problem to be solved. They get to all diplomatic. They cannot do anything. Is that what they are saying?
You think they have not done it already?
No, as a group.
Oh, la, la.
But you think they have not done it even as a group? He cited you, the Cameroonian. What was it? That
for Cameroon.
They have done. They have still
all those politicians are there.
I don't know why they are refusing to accept the truth. Let me finish. I want to answer. Docteur, permettez-moi déjà. Tout à l'heure, quand vous étiez en train de parler, je vous ai interrompu. Peut-être vous avez pris ça comme du mépris ou alors un manque de respect ou alors de l'impolitesse. Permettez-moi de vous dire que c'était très loin de là. C'est juste que quand vous dites des choses, et puis j'ai l'impression que si je ne réagis pas là, je pourrais oublier compte tenu de l'abondance, compte tenu également de l'abondance du plateau. Mais je dirais, docteur, moi parfois quand vous prenez la parole, je vois avec quelle difficulté, ou alors la difficulté que vous avez à défendre ce régime, ceux qui vous ont envoyé ici aujourd'hui.
Vous avez une mesurette?
Non, c'est pas une histoire.
Vous saviez depuis combien de temps je défends ce parti? Si vous voulez qu'on soit autant et imbécile là-dessus. Non, je crois que vous venez à peine de commencer et vous voulez maintenant juger et avoir des baromètres. Non, je veux savoir. Non, je crois que c'est un peu... Non, je crois que c'est un Je crois que je commence à être poli, je fais la jeune dame très polie et soumise, mais je crois qu'il va un peu au-delà. Vous savez quel baromètre pour mesurer ma difficulté à m'exprimer?
Oui, mais...
Vous ne pouvez pas
vous agresser à moi. Mais je peux vous répondre sur quelque chose que vous avez dit, madame.
Ah, donc maintenant vous êtes sur un plateau et vous répondez aux copanélistes.
Oui, mais c'est un débat. C'est un débat. Tout à l'heure, vous avez dit que vous n'étiez pas d'accord avec M. Apôtre. Vous n'étiez pas d'accord avec lui.
Je ne suis pas intéressée.
Non, vous avez répondu à quelque chose. Je suis libre de répondre à ce que vous avez dit. Alors, il n'y a pas de souci. Alors, si chez vous, ça marchait tellement bien, c'est que nous, Cameroun, n'est pas où nous sommes aujourd'hui. Je pense que le RDP, ce n'est pas un exemple. Loin de là.
Vous n'avez pas le baromètre suffisant pour mesurer mes difficultés, mes capacités et mes incapacités.
Vous m'avez parlé, au bout de ma pensée.
Comprenez aussi que les abdourahmans ne sont pas faciles. Allez-y.
C'est ce que je constate aujourd'hui.
Alors, mais si vous, quand même, vous essayez de me rallier à celui que je connais, je le prends volontiers. Parce que, je disais tantôt, si nous sommes sur un plateau comme celui-ci, on a le droit d'être sérieux. Ça veut dire quoi? On ne peut pas venir sur un problème comme celui du Nord-Ouest et du Sud-Ouest qui nous a menés jusqu'à là. Nous sommes bientôt à 5 ans. Ce sont des gens qui meurent. Et j'ai dit ici aujourd'hui, si nous sommes dans l'incapacité d'apporter une solution, il serait même mieux de se taire et de rester tranquille que de venir donner l'impression qu'on a fait X ou Y et que ça n'a pas marché. Et chercher à jeter du tort sur les autres. Moi, je trouverais tellement pas sérieux et pas gentil d'essayer aujourd'hui d'accabler les partis politiques. Parce que nous connaissons l'environnement dans lequel nous vivons. Les partis politiques d'opposition, quelle que soit l'action que vous voulez essayer même de mener, tant que ça n'arrange pas le régime en place, vous n'allez pas aller au bout de vos actions. Nous avons vu plein de partis politiques essayer, donc on ne veut pas entrer dans les détails. Les propositions ont été faites par plusieurs partis politiques, en l'occurrence le PCN. Mais jusqu'aujourd'hui, on a même demandé l'accélération de ce statut spécial dont on a parlé au sorti du grand dialogue. On a demandé ne serait-ce que l'accélération de ce statut spécial. Donc je trouve que venir aujourd'hui et continuer à faire comme si nous ne connaissons pas la réalité du terrain, ça n'est pas... c'est peut-être se moquer même de ceux-là qui nous écoutent. Donc, je redis, permettez-moi, docteur, je préfère le dire à mon Dieu vision. Si à un moment vous vous êtes senti...
Ok, merci beaucoup.
Vous êtes très réduit pour pouvoir le faire. Je vous en prie. Juste
vous demander les excuses.
Je vous en prie. Oh là là. Mais ça alors.
Mais docteur,
c'est quand même extraordinaire qu'on se trouve dans un même plateau et qu'au nom de quoi le docteur se permet de parler avec une certaine condescendance de ses copanélistes comme si... Mais c'est pas sérieux.
Mais de qui? De Joël ou bien de...
Moi je suis un copanéliste.
Oui.
Alors je ne permets pas...
Et je vous en prie, permettez-moi de dire ce que j'avais à dire. Vous voyez que nous revenons sur un sujet...
Docteur, vous avez
un élément.
C'est lui, hein.
Je vous en prie. J'ai demandé une permission.
Allez-y.
Canaille, je dis, permettez-moi de revenir sur un élément très important. Et je crois que nous, progressivement, on revient tous là-dessus. Je dis, le véritable problème, c'est parce qu'on veut politiser ou alors on a politisé les conséquences de la crise anglophone. Je dis, en tant que sociologue, et ça, je l'insiste là-dessus, les conséquences sont extrêmement énormes. Les conséquences sont extrêmement lourdes, qu'il faudrait qu'à un moment, on se lève tous comme un seul homme. Vous n'allez pas me dire aujourd'hui, tout ça vous le savez. Vous n'allez pas me dire aujourd'hui que vous n'êtes pas au courant qu'il y a des partis politiques qui ont fait des réunions aux États-Unis, en Allemagne, en France, partout, pour pouvoir nourrir l'économie de guerre qui est dans la partie anglophone. Ça, vous le savez. Vous savez des partis politiques qui sont associés pour pouvoir créer des stratégies pour, comment on va appeler ça? Nourrir, approvisionner les enfants, nos enfants égarés dans les brousses, ça vous le savez. Donc vous ne pouvez pas dire aujourd'hui que les responsabilités sont totales au gouvernement en place. Il y a un rôle majeur que les partis politiques doivent jouer. Ça vous le savez. J'ai parlé tout à l'heure de l'économie souterraine, des actions souterraines qui sont menées en bas des tables. Et vous savez quels sont les leaders politiques qui jouent à ces actions. Vous ne pouvez pas me dire aujourd'hui tout. Et c'est parce qu'à chaque fois, lorsqu'on parle de la la crise anglophone, vous regardez Biamosgo. Voilà votre véritable problème. Et lorsque vous focalisez sur Biamosgo, vous ne mesurez pas, ou alors vous ne regardez pas les vraies actions ou alors que nous pouvons mener ensemble pour que cette paix revienne dans le territoire national. Okay. Moi, j'ai entendu quelqu'un me parler du statut spécial au jour d'aujourd'hui. J'ai comme impression qu'il ne sait pas les différents contenus qui sont inscrits dans ce statut. J'ai comme impression. Et quand vous vous faites comprendre que le gouvernement camerounais, le chef de l'État, n'a pratiquement rien fait, je crois que c'est perceptible. Qu'on me dise par exemple que c'est insuffisant, mais qu'on ne me dise pas que rien n'est mené par le chef de l'État. Ça c'est vraiment, je ne sais pas comment je vais dire, imbécile à la limite. Et on vient dire aux gens qu'on a la difficulté à s'exprimer sur des questions aussi sociales, pertinentes et même très sensibles comme celle-là aujourd'hui. Je vous remercie.
Okay, Mr. Liu, it's very true that the Parliament can act by asking the U.S. to stay out of their business. True, the Parliament should have done the same for the trouble in the Northwest and Southwest regions. Why have they stayed quiet? Why have we have the impression that only one person, head of state, reasons for all Cameroonians. Alexis is writing from Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Okay, tell some of your panelists to stop confusing us. Okay, there's a God, and I also need Apostle Ambe's number. Chief Moses, writing from Akok. Good evening to you, Chief Moses. Many of you are requesting his number. Can you just request his number after the program? Good evening, Mr. Kum. I don't know if there is have the feeling of the Anglophones. Is Mr. Luis writing from Bengui? Please let your messages be clear so that I can. Everybody can. Hello, Mr. Leo. Put order on the panel today. Alex is writing from Boya. Good evening to you, Alex. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Please ask everybody why is it that the PM can come up to in the name of the father of this country? Why not himself to come to and talk to his people? Nelson is writing from DOP. Good evening, Mr. Leo. My favorite program. Please, Mr. Journalist, accord more time to the apostle. I just love to hear him talk. Mwafwe Edward, writing from Bafu Sam. Okay. Good evening to you all in the studio. The quietness of our senators and parliamentarians just proves democracy is absent in our country. Terence is writing from Mutengene. Apostle Ambe, Valentine Ngwa, are we also in a clear situation of a divide between the elected officials and those who supposedly elected them today?
Of course, I said it earlier. Before I get to that, I want to talk about the sovereignty of Cameroon.
Okay.
You see, when we get back to history, during the First World War, Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife were shot down in Serbia by a Serbian radical called Gavrilo Princip. Gavrilo Princip shot them and they died. Serbia was a sovereign state. And you see, certain international punishments were given on Serbia.
Because of that action? Because
of that action. So if you tell us that Cameroon is sovereign, Cameroon is not sovereign, avoiding it from being connected to international laws or sanctioned to international laws. The U.S. Senate has a clause in its constitution, Article 684, that operates its foreign missions. Go and check the U.S. Senate. It operates its foreign mission. The United Nations is the United States, in other words. And since the president cannot carry every responsibility, there is a part of the Senate that deals with the foreign missions. And it is that Senate that sent the information to Cameroon, the government, and also to the separatists, because the Senate did not write only to the Cameroonian government. We have not seen the separatists from their own head unanimously write and ask them to stop. But we see the government writing, asking the people to stop. That tells you that there is something that is not balanced. Secondly, if the senators that wrote was not from a political party, it was both Republican, because the statement says it was a joint partisan, Republican and Democrats. Yes, joint partisan Senate members that wrote to. What Joel is trying to say is this: if at all the political parties in Cameroon unanimously joined to send this petition to the House of the U.S. Congress, it would have been somehow reasonable. But it is the cabal that controls the activities, and they don't want their interests to be touched. Because they know if at all foreign bodies walk into this country, they will be found guilty. So it is not in the name of the assembly.
Okay, they're defending their interest.
That is defending their interest. So that's what we're trying to say here.
Okay.
End of there.
So now, but is this situation not dangerous where we claim that the representatives do not represent their people and
I have not. I answered the question on this. I have not answered the issue of the divide amongst the people who are elected and the ones. You and I are here. We saw a woman that came up at the main market, stood and told that the mayor we have here, we didn't elect the mayor. I'm talking about
on microphone.
I'm talking about practical testimony.
We pray she's still alive. Let's pray she's still alive.
She said, "We know that the mayor." Mr. Leo, that one alone tells you how the parliamentarians and the mayors found themselves in those different councils, legislative council and constituencies. Is to tell us that we have people who are councillors of Batibo, mayors of Batibo, mayors of Bafut, councillors that stay in Douala. They have CAT as councillors, but they don't live in their constituencies. How do you explain that kind of political rigmarole? That's a kind of politics that I've seen in Cameroon, I've not seen anywhere. Somebody asked me that, what is the system of government in Cameroon? I say, I'm yet to define. We have a pinch of democracy, attached to communism, attached to capitalism, and gerontocracy. Then geopolitics and ethnocracy combined together. We will soon find the name of what is operating in Cameroon in the future, not now.
Ok.
Vous êtes quand même d'accord?
Oui, docteur Simon, est-ce que vous avez aussi l'impression qu'il y a les politiciens qui utilisent la crise pour les fins politiques?
Oh ben, c'est ce que je venais de vous dire sans hésitation. On a politisé la crise anglophone, ça c'est perceptible. Et c'est pourquoi j'ai dit personnellement, je suis toujours contre, même comme d'aucuns vont estimer que c'est parce que je n'ai rien à dire, mais je dis, je suis toujours contre le fait que lorsqu'on parle de la crise anglophone, lorsqu'on vous dit qu'on a attaqué une école et on a tué 50 enfants, 60 enfants, je prends un exemple comme ça, banal, et que quelqu'un vienne d'un parti politique, vienne et me dise non, il y a deux partis, je dis non, arrêtons un peu.
Parce qu'il a relevé ce fait, il a utilisé le Ghana, que quand il y a eu Covid au Ghana, c'est tout le monde, on a oublié.
Pas seulement le Ghana, dans tous les pays africains, lorsque puisque la Covid est un peu considérée comme une crise, une guerre bactériogène. Et puis c'est un ennemi pour tout le monde. La logique voudrait que tout le monde se mette ensemble, qu'on se mette ensemble pour pouvoir attaquer l'ennemi. Mais on a l'impression qu'au Cameroun, c'est le contraire. Lorsqu'il y a la crise anglophone a commencé, des gens vont s'asseoir chaque jour et vous dire, bien monter, bien descendre, arrêtons un peu. Qu'est-ce qu'on a fait nous-mêmes? Et on peut faire des choses. Et malheureusement, sans monter même sur des plateaux, et commencer à proliférer des propos violents. Et des propos qui excitent les jeunes à plus de rébellion. Soyons un peu sérieux et arrêtons.
On doit aussi critiquer le président de la République, non?
Je suis d'accord qu'on critique le président de la République. Je suis très d'accord. Parce que c'est lui, il a été élu par les Camerounais. C'est logique qu'à un moment on lui dise, le père, voici comment nous voulons que les choses se passent. Mais le véritable problème, c'est nos comportements. Nous, les hommes politiques, nous, les leaders politiques. Et vous conviendrez avec moi que lorsque nous sommes violents, parce que nous avons des gens qui nous suivent, nous avons des individus qui sont influencés par nos propos. C'est-à-dire que lorsque nous développons des propos violents, rassurons-nous, nous impactons de manière directe ou indirecte les comportements des uns et des autres. Je ne veux pas me mettre à citer des partis politiques, vous les savez tous. Donc vous pouvez me dire que le RDPC n'a pas fait ci, n'a pas fait ça. À un moment, nous sommes tous responsables de ce qui se passe dans cette partie du Cameroun. Ça, je vous le dis honnêtement. Vous allez dire que c'est des partis politiques. J'ai dit non, ce sont nos frères, ce sont nos soeurs. Moi, c'est ça qui m'intéresse. Ils sont tous responsables. Arrêtons un peu, les parlementaires ont fait, les sénateurs ont fait, Qu'est-ce que moi j'ai fait? Même dans ma parole. Non. Même dans l'action.
Mais ils sont élus, non, docteur. Ils sont élus.
Please, I'm agree with you. Yes. But I say that il y a un autre élément qu'il faut mettre en avant. Nos actions, nous les hommes politiques. Nous avons une arme incontournable. Et une arme extrêmement dangereuse. Nos paroles.
Oui, oui.
Et on ne peut pas la mettre de côté. Cette parole que nous, hommes politiques, avons, elle est extrêmement dangereuse. Et parfois même plus dangereuse que la Covid. Excusez-moi.
Okay. Kenneth King Turi Tumenta says, ha ha ha. And to you, Chris Takan, you say Apostle Ambe is the real man. And Wonja, you say, wow, Apostle is talking. Wonja, you were not happy with Apostle yesterday. You say he's now talking. It's not good, eh? Please. Wonja, greetings to you. I hope our deal stands. Yes, good, Prince Joel. Do you think that, after all, though he thinks that the political parties cannot do anything, do you think they should form a coalition also to pressure not only government but the separatists to see reason why peace is needed? That's all the opposition parties. Okay.
Mr. Liu, there is something. I think that political parties in 2018 during the presidential elections, there was a call, a clarion call from many Cameroonians. Many Cameroonians, I think I was amongst them, we said that the CPDM is so strong that beating them will not take a single political party, given the way I see political parties in Cameroon, because many political parties in Cameroon are regional. Take the case of the UDC of Adamon Damjua. It's noon. They don't want to know whether people have what is happening in Douala. In as much as they have noon, they are okay. Take the case of Paul Eric Kinge. So far as Njombe Penja is fine and his mayor, it's okay. Take the case of Bello Buba, the UNDP. It's true, it's national. But even the Issa Chiruma Bakaris, those are parties that are more of the north. That's their interest. Now, it will be good for political parties to come as one. But when you look at the egocentrism that goes with political parties, it will be very difficult for political parties to form one.
Arrogance.
Political parties in Cameroon want their personal interests. Political parties in Cameroon will not want a situation, because in 2018 we're monitoring the presidential elections, and at one time it was echoed, it was rumored that meetings were held between Nijon, or rather O.C. Joshua, Cabral Libi, Nzifo Ferdinand, may so rest in peace, and Kamto Maurice. There was this deal. But at one time the deal had to fail, because who spearheads? Who goes ahead? Who becomes the president should the coalition win? But if you look at the independence of Cameroon, look at Southern Cameroons. Political parties came together, they formed the KNDP, Apostle Asepume. They came together. They said, okay, we have Southern Cameroons. We are taking the dreams of Southern Cameroons. And if we go under, say for instance, you have your party, I have my party ANBD, and this, no, let us form a political party. Let us push Jongu Foncha ahead with the political party. And that is why Southern Cameroons is where they are today. Because the all political parties came together and said, okay, Foncha, go sell our ideas. In 1966, President Aijo brought all the political parties to one political party. What they are later on changed as a CPDM. It may interest some people to know that if we want to talk about creating a political party, the CPDM did not actually file documents to create a political party. They just changed an existing.
We don't have much time. Just say
Mr. Why is it that when I want to say certain things,
yes,
why do you have offense with my own words? Why? I have the impression that anything I say is you're not okay with.
We have 15 more minutes. Instead of
you're talking about political parties, yes, and I'm answering your question.
Yes. But you are going to the creation of political parties. Tell us why they cannot come together, Prince.
Let Apostle answer.
Apostle.
Why political parties cannot come together?
Yes.
It's the same thing Prince was saying, egocentrism. There's a level of pride. Everybody have their personal manifesto, and they believe their manifesto is the best. PCRM believes their manifesto is what will change Cameroon. MRC the same. That's the reason why we meet an MRC militant. If Kamto does not say anything, every other person is wrong. Kamto is the alpha and the omega as far as knowledge is concerned. You meet a CPDM man, President Popia is the wisest man that has ever existed and will ever exist. It's like some idolatry of political party president is existing in this nation. People practically worship their president in their party rather than seeing some sense. That's why people don't seem to understand when I come on a platform sometimes. I don't have a particular thing I begin. I'm a patriot. I'm interested in the well-being of this country. If the government is not doing it well, I will blast. If the other parties are not doing well, I will say what I have to say. If the people are not doing, I'm not going to be taking side, because why? A political analyst is like a referee in a match. You don't blow the match based on your feelings. You blow the match based on the dynamics on the ground. Yeah, so we must understand that political parties in this country will hardly come together. Because everybody have the manifesto. They believe that the manifesto is the alpha and omega. Something happened recently. Results of the Niger election just came out. Mohamed Bouzan was the one that Bazoum that won the elections. 18 political parties formed a coalition and joined the opposition party of Ousmane Mahane. Yet they were defeated. We are talking about this coalition. Some of these parties have how many militants? We have 301 political parties in Cameroon. Some parties are the president and the secretary, 2 people.
Is that why they never come together?
Why can they come together when everybody is an alpha?
Okay. Est-ce que vous croyez que vous pouviez vous réunir pour vous mettre la pression sur le gouvernement et sur les séparatistes? C'est possible?
Monsieur Léo, elle est extrêmement pertinente, votre question. Je pense que ce que vous dites est très possible, mais nous sommes dans un environnement assez complexe concernant les partis politiques. Assez complexe, pourquoi je le dis? Mon confrère tout à l'heure vous a pris un exemple de présidentiel qui s'est passé, où les partis politiques étaient dans l'incapacité à cause des petits détails de se mettre ensemble et former une seule coalition, où il fallait, mon confrère l'a dit, où chacun est l'alpha et l'oméga de son parti, et on a une croyance, on idole, on a le culte de la personne a pris le dessus, mais je pense que face à un problème comme celui du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest, curieusement, si nous écoutons ce que tous ces partis politiques disent, ou alors ils disent pratiquement la même chose, il va falloir que la guerre cesse, il faut que ça cesse. On a pratiquement les mêmes propositions, mais pourquoi ne pas donc réunir ces propositions-là? Moi, je pense que c'est très faisable, si et seulement si les uns et les autres faire taire les égos, et puis pensent plus au Cameroun que nos égos personnels. Parfois même, d'autres pensent à l'intérêt. À l'intérieur, il n'y en a parfois pas d'intérêt personnel, proprement dit. C'est juste une histoire d'ego. Quand je vais accepter m'allier à M. Léo, on va dire que c'est Léo qui a apporté la solution. Quand je vais accepter m'allier au prince Joël, on va dire que c'est le prince Joël qui a apporté la solution. Donc juste ces petits égos font en sorte que ces partis politiques n'arrivent pas à se mettre ensemble. Mais l'urgence, il urge déjà que tous ces partis politiques de l'opposition, et pourquoi même pas avec le RDPC, poussions-nous tous face à ce problème, cette crise qui pollue notre pays aujourd'hui. Ça fait 25 ans.
Tu tombes d'accord avec le docteur?
J'ai toujours été d'accord avec le docteur. Moi, mon problème, vous avez même dit tout à l'heure que les partis politiques, j'ai dit tout à l'heure que les partis politiques ne peuvent pas apporter quelque chose. Non, c'est pas ce que j'ai dit. Parce que j'ai refusé qu'on jette la pierre aux partis politiques en disant qu'ils n'ont rien fait. Parce que nous connaissons des partis politiques qui ont essayé, qui ont fait des choses, des propositions et tout. Il y a eu un grand dialogue national. Le PCN en a participé. Et si nous avons participé, c'est uniquement parce que nous voulons trouver une solution à notre problème. Et également, récemment, il y a eu les élections régionales. Les élections régionales, nous avons également participé parce que nous avons pensé que c'était la dernière étape pour réellement arriver à la décentralisation tant prônée depuis 24 ans par le président Biya. Donc nous voulions participer parce que nous, tant qu'on nous dit si ici il y a une maigre solution pour pouvoir trouver une solution à ce problème, pour pouvoir arriver à arrêter cette guerre, nous sommes ouverts.
Apostle Ambe, he is saying that there are all the possibilities for these parties to come together, and he's saying that this is the time for them to do so if they want an end to the crisis. But we have not seen them do that in the past 4 years. Is it also because some politicians are benefiting from the situation that is ongoing in the southwest and northwest regions, and are even afraid that fixing the problem may take them out of their comfort positions today?
This song has been sung in many occasions that politicians are practically benefiting from this crisis. That one is something that is very obvious. You don't expect somebody You don't expect to pull food from someone's mouth and watch him do it like that. Just watch the person watch you do it like that. It's not possible. I think if there is a way out of this crisis, and I will still repeat it, is that the president has the capacity. We appreciate what he has done so far, but what he has done so far is not enough to bring the crisis to an end. The problem that we say people fail is not failing all. If you score 20 over 100, you have failed. It doesn't mean you did not have anything. I believe doctor will confirm that one. I believe you are marking scripts in school. When students get to 20 over 100, they didn't fail all, but they failed the one that did not allow them to pass. So our president has done his own, but what he has done has not solved the problem. One of the signs of solving a problem is that you bring a practical solution to that problem. If you provide cosmetic solution and the problem still remains, means you have not solved it. Problems are supposed to be solved. The League of Nations came, tried to solve the problems of the world. It could not. The World War break out again. It shows that it was a cosmetic organization that could not solve the problem. If at all what you have done is not enough, add more effort to see how they can bring an end to the challenge. I think the president of this nation has the knife and the yam to solve this problem, because I think he controls and influences most of the people in this nation that make decisions. So to my own opinion, this idea of political parties, they are going to come together, they will never first and foremost come together, because why? The idea of coming together is first of all a very difficult one, because the government I know is a government that is specialized in dividing.
It has its satellite parties.
It has its parties that will come in the midst of
why would the government not see the coming together as working in its interest? Because the government also wants this stuff to end.
The government doesn't.
This is where you get it. If the political parties assemble together and bring a solution to the problem, it will discredit the government. Okay. And this government, I know, does not want to be discredited on no account.
Okay, hi Mr. Liu, I love the program of today. It was so interesting. Shu is writing from Muteng. Oui, vous avez aussi l'impression qu'il y a des politiciens qui ne veulent pas que ça finisse parce que ils en
leur fonds de commerce, on va dire ça comme ça. Oui, mais permettez-moi simplement de dire que de compléter les propos du confrère, cette crise, elle va s'achever. Croyons simplement au chef de l'État, accompagnons-le et ayant des comportements responsables et citoyens. Je vous assure, cette guerre va s'achever. Il y a toute une économie de guerre qui s'est construite autour des personnes qui ne voudraient même plus qu'elles prennent fin parce que les enfants leur font le commerce, ça tout le monde le sait. Il y a des individus qui ont trouvé richesse dans cette activité ignoble, ça tout le monde le sait.
Aussi dans votre parti, non?
Là, je ne veux pas savoir parce que je n'y suis pas. Ça, je le dis. C'est pour ça que je dis de manière générale, il y a des personnes qui ont trouvé un fonds de commerce, dans cette activité ignoble. Et c'est pourquoi j'exhorte les Camerounais à croire au chef de l'État, à accompagner le chef de l'État et surtout à adopter un comportement responsable. Et rassurez-vous, cette guerre, elle finira.
Apostle, how I wish you become the next president of this country. Your words are so powerful. Chief Moses, writing from, yes, you also think that there are persons who are benefiting from this, who are afraid of losing positions, and what extra do you expect from our political parties henceforth, or you think that Cameroonians should just look up to God?
Cameroonians are not looking up to God. Cameroonians should look up to Paul Biya.
Okay.
Yeah. If one question, Mr. Liu, I've not made my point. There is one person who has the Anglophone crisis. In front of Mo Ibrahim, Paul Biya told Cameroonians, the world, what the Anglophone crisis was all about. In France. He has organized, or he organized a major national dialogue. Defined those to come. Defined those to spearhead commissions. Again, we have decentralization. Again, there is what they call the independent public conciliator, appointed by the head of state through a presidential decree.
The Secretary General.
The Secretary General, the same. It means that if you look at the crisis from 2016, is the president. Before now, there was a ministry called Ministry of Territorial Administration and Decentralization. Because of the crisis, the president has divided it. That's why George Elanga Obam comes to the scene. and Paul Atanganji takes 1/2, he takes 1/2. It means that the president, before now we had Fcfa, the president transforms it to NASLA. The president at each time decides what to do. Nobody advises him. Maybe people at the presidency advise him. But I think at my own level, my opinion doesn't really count. Maybe that of Apostle should count. Because the president, when I look at Cameroon, if we still have the crisis still today, I'm one of those young guys who've had the privilege to speak on so many platforms about the crisis since 2016. And I've always said the way out of the Anglophone crisis is President Paul Biya. If Paul Biya wants a crisis to end tomorrow, it ends tomorrow. But in as much as maybe some persons are benefiting.
Okay.
Because when I listen to, for instance, the Minister of Territorial Administration while in Bafut say, if you drop your arm, tie a white handkerchief in your left hand, hold a peace grants in the right hand, come out and they should take you to the DDR center. How many people are in that area? A lot of persons have already left the Northwest and the Southwest. I was discussing with the Apostle backstage. I met one mama whom I know very well in my 16. She's struggling somewhere around Rye in Bonaberi, selling a small tomato. She told me, "Ma pikin, if nobody thinks so, that be sell for my 16. That wa fina even look small banana or small mololo I go chop." She now needs to adapt to Douala. Dr. Simon knows Douala. If they to take Dr. Simon and send to Bamenda, it may take her time to adapt. We have seen people in the CPDM resign who were transferred to Bamenda. I will not call their names. They resigned. People working with very big organizations that have money. The day affected à Bamenda, ils démission. On a vu plusieurs gens. It means there is a war. But in as much as we are making a lot of gains from the war, we do not want the war to end, Mr. Liu. There are ministers today that once the Anglophone crisis ends, their positions become null and void. There are a lot of, the DDR center may cease to exist if the Anglophone crisis ends. It's very true. Because a DDR center is a place where persons who have dropped arms. So if Cameroon is going through a situation where there is no war, why then we need a DDR center? So if there is no DDR center, the coordinator of the DDR center who has a car, who has a driver, has a police officer, has a lot of luxury,
those jobs are going to evaporate.
C'est pourquoi je dis encore, croyons au chef de l'État, suivons le chef de l'État et accompagnons-le. Je crois que cette crise va...
Mais lui, il a dit que les Camerounais doivent regarder le chef de l'État. Hein.
Oui, c'est pourquoi j'appuie simplement. J'appuie ses propos.
Moi, je pense que les mesures là sont là.
Elles sont simplement lentes parce que les impliqués, c'est la famille, c'est nous.
Doctor, let's come in. Yes.
Oh, oui. Permettez-moi sur la question selon laquelle est-ce que les partis politiques, est-ce qu'il y a des gens qui entretiennent, qui ne voudraient pas que c'est bien évidemment. Moi je pense même que si nous avions tous regardé dans la même direction, avons voulu corps et âme que cette guerre c'est que ça serait fini depuis
fort longtemps.
Je le dis, moi je ne voudrais pas, comme tout le monde ici, citer peut-être un parti politique ou alors des confrères qui ne sont pas présents sur le plateau pour pouvoir se défendre. Nous les lisons tous dans les réseaux sociaux. Des gens qui ont fait de cette guerre leur forme de commerce politique. Aujourd'hui, on a l'impression que si cette guerre cesse, il y a certains partis politiques qui vont cesser d'exister. Et également, il faut le dire, c'est douloureux, nos gouvernants aujourd'hui, il y a certains faucons du pouvoir qui se remplissent les poches et qui peuvent aller n'importe où pour que cette guerre ne cesse pas, pour que ça ne s'arrête pas. Donc du coup, il est temps de dire qu'il faut que tout ça s'arrête. Et que voilà pourquoi on a toujours tendance à se reposer sur celui qui nous dirige. Parce que c'est lui que nous avons élu, c'est à lui que nous devons demander les comptes. Donc, si ça va mal, moi j'aime souvent faire la liaison avec une équipe de football. Quand une équipe de football va mal, on chasse le coach, on ne va jamais chasser les joueurs. Pourtant, c'est lui qui met les joueurs au stade. Pourtant, ce sont les joueurs qui jouent, ce n'est pas lui. Mais sauf que c'est lui qui met les joueurs qui doivent jouer au stade. Voilà pourquoi on le chasse. Parce qu'on espère qu'il doit mettre les joueurs compétents.
Donc vous voulez entrer dans le chassement?
Non, vous comprenez un peu, je fais juste une liaison. Là, je parle de demander les comptes. Nous demandons les comptes au président de la République parce que nous l'avons élu. Demander les comptes à quelqu'un ne veut pas forcément dire qu'on lui demande de partir. Il est président de la République et si ça va mal, on se retourne vers lui, on lui demande, monsieur le président de la République, trouver une solution face à ce problème.
Mr. Liu, send me MTN mobile money. I want to support this program. Thank you, Kenneth King King Turi Tumenta. Oh, I'm waiting for it. Send it fast. Okay. Hello, Mr. Leo. Thanks for this program. I'm writing from Marwa. Okay, my question is about stance on the President of the Republic. When COVID-19 started, all heads of state of all countries came out and addressed their citizens. Where was the President of the Republic? There are signs of not being a good father of the nation. Okay, good evening to you. Apostle, okay, we are solidly behind you. Okay. Hi, Mr. Leo. The program of today is so interesting. Thank you very much. Okay. Je vous salue le plateau. J'apprécie vos débats tous les jours et vous remercie d'inviter plus souvent Apostle Ambe. Okay. Johannes, writing from PK14 in Douala. The system of governance in Cameroon is what we call maladministration. Renin Som is writing from Bonaberry. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Kevin writing from Bangem. God will deliver Cameroon from this siege one day. Good evening to you. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Some people seem not to understand how Cameroon moves. Yes. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I appreciate Apostle Ambe's logical argument. Okay. Thank you. This one says, that is Prince with facts speaking. Good evening to you, Mr. Kum. I like all your selection of the topics. Keep it up. Thank you very much, Madame Bisson, writing there. Good evening to you, Madame Bisson. Good pity. Shady is writing from Yaoundé. Okay, Joel is talking lots of sense, Mr. Leo. This is Romeo, writing from Yaoundé. Your program is the best. Thank you very much, Romeo. Good evening, Mr. Leo. This crisis cannot end with this present regime in power. Guaxi is writing from Boya. Tumenta, thank you very much. Hello, Mr. Leo. Nice program like always. We want to behave like President Biya, Mr. Biya. Okay. Max Bogeni writing from Dusseldorf in Germany. Mr. Leo, whenever I'm in Cameroon, invite me to this program. I have something to say. Just call me when you're in Cameroon. I'll gladly receive you. Good evening to you guys in the studio. I thank you people very much for always keeping me informed. I love this program. My special greetings to Prince Joel, my brother from the same subdivision. I want to let him know that Mr. J people are listening to him 100%. I personally love the way he speaks. Thanks is Koji Justice, a Mr. J boy in Yaoundé. Wow. Hello, Mr. Liu. I don't understand why everything that think that Abia can solve the problem. A genuine dialogue with a referee is required. The so-called national dialogue was not a dialogue. Okay, Zakia, writing from where we don't know. We have to end at this juncture. We are above time. Thank you to you, Apostle Ambe, who is our consultant for Prime R.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. Let me leave Cameroonians with this information coming in. The Zambian ambassador to Tanzania has been rejected to enter the country because of his name. The meaning of his name in Swahili, his name is Musenge, which means gay. Mukuma, which means female sex organ. So because his name is gay and female sex organ, Magufuli has rejected him coming as a Zambian ambassador to the country of Tanzania. And to conclude, Cameroonians, I am a political analyst, like a referee in a match. I am not an activist. I'm not a partisan politician. I don't belong to any political party. I will give analysis here based on what is playing in the field. My mind is not myopic. My mind is not static. My mind evolves as events evolve. I can come tomorrow and speak well about the head of state. I can come tomorrow and speak well about secessionists. It depends on what is going on ground. But what I see that is not good, as a man of God and a neutral person, I will tell you the raw, blatant truth. Take me for who I am. You will like me.
Okay. This one says, read my message, please. Bonjour sur le plateau. Trop de débats ne résout pas le problème du nozo, ni les partis politiques, seuls les activistes dans la brousse. Si ces derniers décident de ne plus prendre de l'argent du dehors et dedans, il y a longtemps, cette guerre serait terminée d'un d'un, et de deux, le système de ce pays est phagocytaire. Déjà, la constitution est essentiellement française, qui absorbe le système anglophone. Du coup, les deux parties sont incompatibles. Okay, I cannot read the name. It's not easy. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Your program is the best. Divine is writing from
Fellow viewers, you are welcome once more to the program Home Secret. Today, I will be explaining or expatiating on issues that will create some awareness to help us realize why man is sick each day and looking for doctors, looking for healers, moving from one place to another with deplorable health situations. Why is it that man is always sick? Man, notwithstanding his knowledge, man has a well-developed brain. He has a mind. He has a spirit. It's controlled by the Spirit of God. But he's always sick. Sick, in need of doctors, in need of pastors, in need of prophets each day. But the animals in the wild, they don't know how to pray. They just eat anyhow. They don't even wash their food. They eat with dirty hands. They don't brush their mouth, their teeth. They sleep under very bad or harsh conditions, beaten by mosquitoes, insects. They wound themselves. They eat dirty food, infected food with bacteria, fungi, parasites, viruses, toxins. But they don't have doctors. They are always healthy. They are always fresh. They are always strong.